Imagine being called the weakest human in the village and being bullied over and over. Then one day you're captured and sent to an island full of women, and every woman there wants some action from you. Well, this is today's story. The movie begins in the land of Metalonia, where an ancient demon named Zal oppressed humanity and used them as his slaves. A brave warrior named Kron emerged and freed the humans using his great sword. He defeated Zal but sustained a wound to his heart that caused him to bleed for 7 days. The humans drank his blood and gained immense strength. Kron died after seeing the superhumans, and thus the barbarian race was born. Several years pass and the barbarians warm up by breaking boulders and smashing skulls. An elder appears and informs them that they must train for their next quest. He calls a weak barbarian named Ronald and instructs him to use an axe to attack a mannequin. Ronald misses his swing, causing the destruction of several objects. Later, he talks to the elder, who is also his uncle, as he struggles to lift a rod. His uncle tells him he must be brave if he wants to go on quests. Other barbarians laugh at Ronald because he has no muscles. Ronald continues complaining, but his uncle throws some weights at him. Suddenly, a guard spots an incoming carriage and alerts the others. The barbarians prepare for battle as the elder stops the carriage. Master Florian steps out and says he is an entertainer. The barbarians are ready to attack, but Ronald explains that Florian isn't a threat. They let him in, and Florian's apprentice, Albert, immediately starts flirting with the women. That night, the barbarians throw a party. Gorak hits Ronald several times as he tries to talk to some women. Meanwhile, a strange man observes the town from afar and rides away to report to Lord Volkazar that the barbarians are gathered there. Ronald later takes his uncle's place at the watchtower and sees Volkazar's army approaching. He tries to blow the horn, but he isn't strong enough. Volkazar orders his men to rain fire on the town, and they launch catapults. The barbarians mistake the explosions for fireworks until the fireballs begin hitting them. The elder warns that they are under attack. Chaos breaks out as Volkazar's men overwhelm the barbarians. Ronald clings to the falling horn, which traps Albert. As soldiers approach, Ronald's uncle saves him, but they are soon surrounded. Volkazar mocks them for being pathetic. The elder fights back, but his sword shatters against Volkazar's armor. Volkazar kills him and orders his men to capture the surviving barbarians. A soldier tries to kill Ronald for being small, but a falling horn crushes the attacker. Albert appears, and Ronald rushes to his dying uncle, who tells him to seek the oracle, saying he is the only hope the barbarians have left. After burying his uncle, Ronald takes Gorak's invincibility potion and begins his journey. Albert insists on joining him, and despite Ronald's protests, he follows. They climb a narrow mountain to meet the oracle, who behaves oddly and even tells Ronald to wipe him after using the toilet. The oracle explains that Volkazar's armor is impenetrable and that only Kron's sword can destroy it. Ronald dismisses the legend, angering the oracle, who strangles him briefly before declaring the sword real and that only a true warrior can wield it. Meanwhile, Volkazar and his sorcerer Gurazul attempt to resurrect Zol, but fail. Realizing one barbarian is missing, Volkazar furiously orders his general to find him. On the road, Ronald grows annoyed by Albert's singing until he realizes the song is about Kron. This leads them to Elvengard, where the Book of Wisdom is kept. Along the way, they discover corpses and are attacked by a female warrior named Xandra. After realizing Ronald is harmless, she spares him and decides to join their quest. The trio reaches a town where Ronald asks a fairy for a guide. She leads him to Elric, a strange man who eventually agrees to help. When a local man insults Ronald, Xandra almost fights him, but Ronald stops her. The man then punches Ronald in the groin. Before the fight escalates, Volkazar's men attack. Xandrope beheads the man holding Ronald, and the group escapes as the building explodes. Volkazar learns that Ronald and a strong warrior have escaped and orders their capture. The group then wanders through a desert. Elric tries communicating with a lizard, but it bites his tongue and runs off, leading them to the entrance of Elvengard. Elric warns that the guardians of the entrance will judge their worth and crush them if they fail. Ronald panics and suggests taking another route. They agree, but the ground splits beneath them, forcing them to run for their lives. After barely escaping, Xandra scolds Ronald for avoiding danger. Elric shows them the Elven Tower, where the Book of Wisdom is kept. Ronald drinks Gorak's invincibility potion to sneak past the guards, but it doesn't fully cover his groin. He manages to reach the top, dodging traps and elves, and tears a page from the book. On his way out, he falls, lands on a mousetrap and gets shot in the groin by fairy arrows before tumbling into a river. He emerges from the water holding the page, impressing Xandra. Elric reads it and learns that Cron's sword is buried on the Mountain of Eternity. Albert points out that it's nearby. Xandra admits she misjudged Ronald and praises his bravery. She then confides in him about her destiny to marry a man who defeats her in battle, though none ever have. She says it feels good to finally open up to someone. Suddenly, they hear a strange noise. A flying monster swoops down and captures Elric, while Volkazar's general captures Xandra. Ronald and Albert escape, but are soon captured by a group of Amazonians. Mistaking them for ugly women, the Amazons bring them to their queen. When Albert explains they are actually men, the Amazons are shocked. The women celebrate, and the queen orders them to take the men to the mating chamber. Meanwhile, Volkazar's soldiers drag Xandra into the castle. He touches her, but she breaks free and attacks him. A fierce fight breaks out. Volkazar's weapon gets stuck between some rocks, and Xandra tries to strike him with her axe. But it breaks. He knocks her down, threatens to kill her, but then decides to spare her, saying she must now obey him since he defeated her. Back with the Amazonians, Ronald is returned to his room, clutching his groin. He tells Albert that they plan to use him tomorrow. Worrying about Xandra, Ronald insists on rescuing her. Albert refuses, saying he'd rather stay with the women, and Ronald storms off angrily. Soon after, Albert feels guilty and decides to follow him, but the Queen appears and tries to seduce him. Albert manages to escape, and the guards chase after him. He hides among some rocks and is startled to find Elric there, covered in dirt. Meanwhile, Ronald climbs to the top of the mountain and enters a cave. Inside, he discovers a tomb surrounded by statues of the original barbarians. In the center lies Crone's body, still holding his mighty sword. Ronald takes the sword, but it slips from his hands and falls to the floor. Xandra suddenly appears, picks it up and hands it to Volkazar, who laughs as his soldiers capture Ronald. The soldiers bring Ronald to the castle, where Gurazul takes a drop of his blood to perform a ritual. Volkazar declares that soldiers will reward him with divine power as he has brought Cron's descendants as a sacrifice. Albert and Elric sneak into the castle disguised as guards. Albert sees prisoners being led up the mountain and rushes inside to retrieve the sword. When the soldiers spot him, he distracts them with his singing, grabs the sword, and escapes. He returns just as Gurazul continues the ritual. Albert frees Ronald, and the general confronts them. Ronald swings the sword, but misses, accidentally releasing the other barbarians. The freed warriors rise up and attack Volkazar's soldiers. Volkazar orders Xandra to fight against the barbarians. Ronald stops her, asking if she'll really kill the only person who cares about her just because she lost a fight. He saves her from falling rocks, but she becomes trapped beneath them. Gurazul urges Volkazar to drink the barbarian's blood. Volkazar drinks it and gains Zol's divine power, transforming into a massive demon. As the demon rampages, Albert shouts that Volkazar's weak point is his forehead and tells Ronald to stab it. Ronald mounts a flying creature and charges toward him. He tries to stab the forehead, but misses and the sword falls to the ground. Xandra catches it and defies Volkazar's command, slashing his hand. Enraged, he grabs her. Ronald climbs up his arm, retrieves the sword, and drives it deep into Volkazar's forehead. Volkazar laughs, thinking nothing has happened, then suddenly explodes and dies. The smoke clears and Xandra rushes to Ronald, who appears lifeless. The barbarians mourn, but Ronald suddenly wakes up. Everyone cheers as Xandra kisses him, saying he has won her heart. The barbarians return home to rebuild their town. Elric gives them massages, Albert becomes a ladies' man, and Ronald marries Xandra. The barbarians hail him as the bravest of them all. The end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out our other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to get notified about our latest uploads.